Hi there friends, it's Stefan from Codewalk Empire, and this is the app which we're going to build today. As you can see, we can have the whole team on the call. Or just a basic one-to-one call. Besides that, we can share our screen, as you can see, usual screen sharing, or even start a chat here. And hi there. Of course, we can go here, copy our link or this meeting ID, then open up a new browser, go to our deployed application, and here enter a meeting ID. So we can press join, and again join as a new user. And the best part of all, we can build this application in 20 minutes. And all that thanks to the Zegocloud. So Zegocloud is a global communication service provider. They provide developer-friendly services such as SDKs and APIs, or even a UI kits for building a high-quality video calling experiences. This means you can build features like real-time video communication within your app. You can easily implement features like direct calls, group calls, live video streaming, screen sharing, and so on and so on. And the best part, we can use their pre-built UI kits to build our apps in minutes. Now, about some features, as you can see, they are open source, which is very important. They have a lot of UI kits, 20 plus, which are easily customizable. Of course, they are available on different platforms. Let me scroll down a bit. As you can see, they have different kits for iOS, Android, React Native, web, and so on. So now let's start building our application. For this tutorial, for the front end of our application, we're going to use Next.js. So open up your terminal, choose the directory where you want to create the project, and type npx create next app at latest. First, we need to name our project. So let's say group call app. Yes, I want to use TypeScript and ESLint and of course Tailwind. We don't need source directory. We want to use app router and default aliases. And now let's create application. Perfect. Now we can cd to our application. So cd group call and then just type code with a dot. This will open up a Visual Studio code for you or your preferred IDE, or you can simply drag and drop this folder into VS Code. First, let's do a cleanup. So let's go to our app folder, to global CSS, and remove this. Then let's go to page, and we can definitely remove all this code. So everything, and here let's say for now hello. All right, and let's open up a terminal and npm run dev to see what we got here for now. So that's on localhost 3000, and here is our hello. Perfect. Let's go back to code, and now we need to update a bit our layout. So what we can do, we can create a new folder here in app directory called components. Inside, let's create a navbar component, so navbar.tsx, and we can type nav, and let's say class name bg blue 500 and text white with a bit of padding. All right, inside, let's create a div. This will be some sort of container, so max width 6xl, of course margin auto, flex, item center, and justify between. Inside, we are going to create an h1 with the class name. So here we are going to use a custom import, custom font. So let's go in here, import a font called Railway. Nice, from next font / Google. Then go down there and let's say font is equal to this. But we want also to add here a weight of 600, so a bit bold one. And here we can add a custom font by adding a variable font.className. Besides that, we want to add a text which is extra large. Perfect. Inside, usual stuff, let's add a link which will lead us to our homepage. So let's say greet me. Perfect. Now below h1 let's create a new div with a class name of flex. Let's add a gap 4 and set items to center. Perfect. Inside let's create a p tag with the class name of font thin, and inside for now let's add a new date and call a method toDateString. Now let's go to our layout. Inside let's import navbar. Then in body let's wrap our children with a main tag and save. Let's go to browser. Oops. So body needs to wrap also navbar. Now let's save, go back, and great. Here we have a basic navbar with a date, and now we can start working on the home page. So let's go back to VS Code, go to page, and here let's remove this. And here we'll basically have one div and one image. So for now let's say it like this. Here let's add some class names, so some container classes, some padding. Let's make it responsive also. Then here we're going to add a min height. Let's say 1990 view heights. Then of course this will be a flex, and we want it to be flex column on the basically on the mobile screen, and from tablet and above we want to be a flex row. And let's add some gap 20. Alright, let me just go here and inside div let's create another one. Inside let's have h1 with a class name, text for Excel, something like that, and margin bottom. And here we're going to have video, calls, and meetings for, and down there we're going to add a span, everyone. Alright, now let's add some class name here. Let's say text blue 500 like our navbar, and font medium. Below let's add a p tag, something like join meetings with simple code and share your screen with others. I think this looks nice. And then below the div we're going to add another div. Here we'll have inputs. So now let's save. Let's go back to our browser and see. Nice. This is good. And if we do this, we can see that. Let me just move this a bit. Yep, so as you can see, this is fully responsive. So it will become a row and column for mobile phones. Perfect. This is great. Now let's go back to our VS Code, and here we can add, let's say, item center and justify between. Let's check this. Much better. Alright, now here let's remove this, and here we're going to have two components. First one, it will be a create meeting, and the second one will be join meeting. Now let's go to our components folder and create a new file called create meeting.tsx. And inside, this will be a very basic component. So let's create a link with, and this will lead us to, for now, let's say room, and here 1, 2, 3, something like this. This will basically become a, here we'll need to generate some random ID for creating a new meeting, but later on that. All right, inside let's add a button. Let's add some class names with full, some padding. Let's add a BG blue 500, text white of course, and rounded. And inside, let's say create meeting. All right, I think this looks good. Let me import it first. All right, let's comment out this and go back to browser. This looks fine. Maybe let's go here to this div and add some class name margin bottom 10. Okay, much better. Now let's create this component. So join meeting, new file, join meeting.tsx. Great. Now inside, let's remove this, and this div will have a class name of flex, gap of 2, item center, some margin top, and of course full width. So here we're going to have two components. First one will be input, type text. Perfect, I think this is fine. Enter meeting code, some padding, border, nice. All right, and down below we can create a new component with a link. All right, thank you. So this is an ID of the room, and the idea is that we need to type ID of our meeting into our input and then go to their page. So we are going to need use state. So first let me mark this component with the use client. So this is going to be a client side component. So let's add a new state. Let's say room ID and set room ID. This is going to be a, let me define a type. This is going to be a string. All right, perfect. So here, what we can do a value, and the value will be equal to room ID. And of course, we need an onChange handler. So onChange, classic React stuff. So set room ID to e.target.value. All right, I think this looks good, and because we have this state here, we can actually pass the dynamic state here. So let me first remove this, add a backticks, and here we're going to pass a room ID. Perfect. Now let's go back to our page and import this component, save, go to browser, and here we can type something, press join meeting, and as you can see, we have a dynamic route here. Now let's go back, and let me just go here, and this is a mistake, it should be a flex. If we save, go back, we're going to see this. Okay, this is fine for now. Let's go back to our homepage. Down below, we need to remove this, and we are going to add an image from next. And I'm going to drag and drop this from my computer here. And of course you can check this on this repository will be on my GitHub, and in case you want to add another image, you can go and type on draw. Yep, so this is the site. You can check it. You can find here suitable image, set up a color and download it. Alright, let's go back here, and for the source, this will be, since it is a public folder, we can do a slash and then the name of the image. So video call.svg, we need to set an alt tag, so let's say video call, and of course we need to define width and height, so width 600 and height again 600. Let's save this, let's go back, and as you can see this looks great. Just one small thing, let's fix this. Go back to our VS Code, and here first let's set this to video, then go to join meeting and just remove this meeting. Let's go back, and I think this looks great now. So next thing, let's create a new page for actually creating a video call room. First, in order to do that, let's go to the Zegocloud.com and create our free account. So click here and sign up. And of course, all the links will be down there in the description. And when you register, you're going to get a generous free tier of 10,000 minutes. So let's do the form. Add your name, country of region, and of course work email. And here press get code to get verification code to your email. Let's do this CAPTCHA. Alright, now check your email. I'm going to type my code here. And then create the password. And then check here and create your account. Alright, we are in. Now, last step. Here you can add whatever you like. So let's say I don't have a company. This is fine. This is all right. And here, as you can see, we get 10,000 minutes. So this is great. Now let's go to our dashboard. And here we can create a project. So let's do that by clicking here. We are going to create a voice and video call application. So scroll down there and click next. Here we need to specify a project name. So let's say group video call app. All right, now we have two ways to start here with a lower level SDK, or we can utilize UI kits. We are going to go here with UI kits because it will help us build our project in a minute. So let's click here. And now let's just wait a couple of seconds. And now let's start building our application. So as I mentioned earlier, we can use this SDK on a lot of platforms, but in our case, here we are building a web app, so I'm going to click here. And this is the interface which we'll get. So we can have one-on-one calls or group calls, as you can see. Now you can press here to see how this is going to look like, but I can go here to projects, project management, and from here we can start building our application. So let's click here, and here is our project data. First things first, let's go to the docs So Zegocloud, developers, then we can go here to documentation and search for, perfect here, call kit. All right, here we are using web, so click here and click on npm package manager. Perfect. So here you can read thoroughly about this documentation, and the first step definitely is to install SDK. So let's click here. Let's go back to our Visual Studio Code, open up a new terminal and paste this command. Great. Now let's go back to docs, and here you can see they have a documentation how you can add this to different kind of apps. So first let's just explore a bit this piece of code. Here they're giving us a function for generating a random ID, and this random ID will be used later on for creating a room ID when you create a new meeting. All right, then next step, they're using React, so they are getting URL params. So as you can see here, room ID can be this new created if we go to create a meeting, or we can send our users through query params to join the meeting. So based on that, we can set this room ID. All right, next step, they have this function, my meeting, and I will scroll down. As you can see, they are setting it as reference to this return function, so we can get the UI kit for making a calls. All right, and now two important things. We need an app ID and server secret. Why? Well, in order to generate a token, as you can see, so we can initiate our UI kit. So first things first, let's go back to our console, and here we need the two things. First thing is this app ID, and the second one is this server secret. So now first copy your ID and let's back to our Visual Studio Code, and then create a new file called .env.local. Here we need to store this ID in a variable, and in next we can use next public, and then I'm going to add a Zego app ID. And here you need to paste your ID. In my case, this is the one. And the second thing, you need this server secret. So I'm going to reveal it. I'm going to hide this and press copy. And of course here we can add the next public Zego server secret. All right, we are done, and we can go to our app and create a new folder called room. All right, inside the room, we need to create another folder with a square brackets ID, and inside new file called page.tsx. Okay, now let's create the basic component, and this is the place where we're going to initiate a Zegocloud. And the logic here is when the user, for example, enters a meeting code 123 and press join, it will go to the room, and then here should be the thing that user typed. So something like this. Here is our page. So now let me just go back here to join meeting, and let's see if everything is working here. All right. Okay, this is perfect. The same thing goes for creating a meeting. So when user clicks on create meeting, we here need to generate a random ID. Okay, go to documentation. So here, and let's initiate our Zegocloud. So first things first, we need to import this. So let me copy it, go here, and down there, paste it. Perfect. Now, here we can copy this random ID function, but I want to add that function to a separate file. I don't want to be in the same page here. So I'm going to create here a new folder. So in the root, called utils, and inside we want to add a helpers.ts file. And here I will paste this function and of course export it from here. This is a type of number. Great. Now let's go back here, go back to documentation and see what we got. So first step is to get param from our URL. So basically a room ID. And we don't want to use this because this is a basic, we can use it. This is a React thing, but in Next.js we can do it in other way. So let's go here, and this page can receive a params. Let me define a props. And here going to type interface props, and this will have a params and ID, which is equal to string. All right. So how we can get these params to show? Well, pretty simple. Let me just do it like, for example, const room ID. It will be equal to params.id. Great. Now we can console log this. But before that, we need to make this page component to be a use client, since Zego UI Kit runs on the client. So let me save this. Let's go back. Let's go here. And for example, if I type here 1, 2, 3 and press join, open up a console, here we should see 1, 2, 3. Perfect. So this is our room ID. Now for creating a meeting, let's click here, and instead of this, we can remove it, add a backticks, and this we are going to call our function random ID. So this function, and we'll pass a number 5. So generate me a random string with the 5 characters. Perfect. Let's save. Let's go back, reload the page and test this out. So if I click create meeting, here I will receive a random generated ID which will serve us as a room ID. Perfect. Let's go back to the page, and now here we can create a function called my meeting. But let's go to the documentation page. So this is a function, as you can see, it receives an element, so I'm going to add it here. And since I'm using a TypeScript, this element should be HTML div element. You will see a bit later why is that so. So now inside we can do the following. So we need this app ID and server secret first. So how we can get them? Well, pretty simple. We can get them from our envs, so process.env.nextPublic Zego app ID, and similar goes for this, so process.env nextPublic Zego server secret. All right, let's go back, and now we need this to generate this token. So I'm going to copy this function and paste it over there. All right, so first things first. This function, if I hover, you will see that first argument is app ID, and this should be a number. So we can convert this to number by typing number, and inside we're going to add app ID. Perfect. Now for the server secret, it needs to be a string, and this is a common thing when you're importing stuff from env. It could be undefined, so we need to set a base parameter here to be default parameter here to be empty string. All right, now third argument here is room ID, and that's perfectly fine, we have that. And the fourth one is user ID, and the fifth one user name. So in this case, documentation suggested adding this random ID. So we're going to import this from our function, from our utils. Let me apply prettier. All right. In ideal case, your application would have authorization, some kind of authorization. So maybe you can use Firebase or some other service, and when you have that, you can here pass unique ID from your user and of course username from your user. Let's say Firebase username. So that's the idea. But for now we can go with this, definitely. So let's go back to documentation, and here, as you can see, we need to create an instance of an object, and this has a method create where we pass this token here. And this is responsible for creating a basic UI. So now let's go back here, and all we have to do is copy this line of code here. So let's do that. And now let me just quickly explain this a bit. So as you can see, here we have a method join room, which is responsible for basically creating and joining video calls. Inside we have three important elements: key value pairs, so container. And what is container? Well, container is an element which will basically serve as a container for this embedded UI kit. And here we pass element from over there. And how we can actually embed this UI kit into our application? Well, that's pretty simple actually. You just need here to pass a ref, and this my meeting will serve as a reference to this div. And that's all. Let me save it. Now this is basically how you want and what you want to share as a shareable link. You will see this in a minute. And this scenario, third argument, here has a mode, so you can easily switch between group calls or one-on-one calls. Alright, so now let's save this, and let me just quickly go here to my browser and reload the page. So now, if you click here on a create meeting, the room should be opened. And here is a preview screen, so this works great. But I think we have a problem. So this personal link, as you can see, we have our domain here, /room, and then over there, a query param. So I think this will work, but let me just over there. So this is that part. What we can do, we can comment out this, and again add the new URL, and that URL will basically be window.location.href. So let me save this. Let's go back again to our browser. Again, create a meeting. And I think this now looks better. So here I can enter my name and first copy this and then join. Hi there. And I can open up a new tab, enter this link, and here we can join as a Levi, let's say. Click join. Let me first, mute myself. So here I am. We can of course here see a personal link. We can share it to others. We can chat and so on. But we have a problem here. As you can see, it is not taking a full page, and if I close it, you can see the same thing happening over here. And how we can fix this? Well, first thing, we can go here, add a class name of full width and height, which will be around 90 view heights. Okay, and before going back, let's do one more thing. So this shared links is an array of objects, so we can pass another object here with the name of meeting ID. So this will create a new card basically, and here only we want to pass as a URL a room ID. So user can copy this and paste it over there to homepage again. So let's test everything again. Let me reload the page, and here I'm going to create a meeting. Alright, I will copy this. Let me just turn off everything and I can join. So now I can open up a local host here, and over there I can paste this code, and if I press join, let me turn off this, you will see I'm in the same call. But again, we again see this problem, so let me just go back here, and yep, so this is view height. If I save and reload the page, now you will see that this occupies the whole screen. We can join again, exit, and everything looks great. So one last step, let's go and deploy our application. Alright, head over to GitHub and create a new repository. In my case, I'm going to name it like this and just press create repository. Then we can go back to our VS Code. Let's say git add dot, then git commit, complete project in my case. Alright, let's now add our remote, and then we can just push. And now repo should be ready. Let's reload the page. And perfect. We have a repository. Now let's go to Vercel and click here on import. Important part, don't forget to add your env variables over here. Paste it and just press deploy. And our application is deployed. Let's go to dashboard, and over here we can access it over this link, and let's test it out again. So let's create a meeting. All right. Let me just copy this, join. I'm going to open up a new tab here. Here, let's say Levi. Let me open up my mobile phone and quickly join. Hi there. So friends, that would be all for this tutorial, and please make sure to subscribe to my channel, and see you again in another video.